President Cyril Ramaphosa is today expected to officially open the 11th Speakers Summit, commonly known as the P20 of the G20 member states in Cape Town. Delegates from the G20 nations, including parliamentarians from South Africa, are gathering to discuss various issues related to their oversight role. The theme for the event is harnessing parliamentary diplomacy for the realization of global solidarity, equality and sustainability. Now, this event takes place for the first time on the African continent ahead of the G20 meeting in November. That's next month. For more about this event, we are joined by the Speaker of the National Assembly, Thoko Didiza. It's so good to have you, Speaker. Thanks very, very much for your time.
Very much, Leanne, and good morning to you and your listeners.
Speaker, I imagine that, up front, before we even talk about the G20, you would like to sort of, perhaps maybe we can send condolences to you and your colleagues on the passing of Ambassador Mthethwa. I'm not sure if you would like to begin by just giving a message to South Africans.
Well, thank you very much, Leanne. Indeed, it's a sad moment for our country, more particularly the family of Ambassador Mthethwa, his wife, Lisiwe, the Mthethwa and Buthelezi family. But also, we know that for a long time, Nathi Mthethwa has been one of those activists in the youth movement, the African National Congress Youth League, who worked tirelessly to ensure that we attain our liberation, but also forming the building blocks of a new South Africa in terms of youth issues, but also transformational issues across the board. He was a member of the legislature and the National Assembly in our parliament, and then also was the chief whip of the African National Congress, and thereafter moved to being a minister. As he passes on, he was our ambassador to France. As Parliament, as presiding officer, indeed, we want to send our condolences to his family, his organization, and to the people of South Africa.
Thank you very much, Speaker. And certainly we're devastated to hear the news as well, and we'll await on the investigations on the French authorities to see how we take this forward. But let's leave that for now, and let's focus on what you'll be doing today, because this is a very big moment where Parliament is hosting one of the most significant gatherings of the global parliamentary leaders. This is the 11th G20 Parliamentary Speakers Summit, known as the P20. Perhaps you want to talk to us about the importance of this, particularly being held in Africa for the first time.
Well, thank you very much, Leanne. One of the important things, and we would all appreciate, for the longest time, the G20 was among leaders of government and heads of state, where they were deliberating more on issues that affect our globe economically, and to see how best strategies can be developed to ensure that our economy grows. Later, when Argentina was hosting, the legislators felt it was important, given that parliaments play an important role even in passing the budgets, in ensuring that oversight and accountability over resources that government use, that it must have an opportunity of influencing the discussions and decisions that are taken by the leaders. That tradition had continued. And South Africa this year is hosting that legislative forum where we can have various engagements. We started on the 29th with the meeting of the women parliamentarians and young parliamentarians, respectively, to again look at how they can influence this agenda from the lens in which they are seeing things in terms of gender perspectives, and how certain programs that relates to the empowerment of women can actually be part of this dialogue.
Yeah. Speaker, with the African Union, now a permanent member of the G20, is this an opportunity to ensure that African perspectives, priorities, solutions are fully integrated into the global agenda?
Certainly, and it is important for me to share with you and your listeners that actually, as a build-up towards this summit, we held a symposium with the Pan-African Parliament where we reflected on the theme that will be discussed today so that indeed all member states of our continent can be able to input on what becomes the outcomes document of our meeting. We also had an engagement with the SABC Parliamentary Forum to reflect on the same matter, and some of those speakers will be participating in the agenda today.
Yeah, you mentioned the theme, and I see that the theme is all around harnessing parliamentary diplomacy for the realization of global solidarity, equality, and sustainability. This theme, perhaps maybe we can just talk to its relevance in today's climate of absolute global uncertainty.
This theme is very important. It also draws from the theme that our government had actually chosen for the G20 summit in South Africa. It addresses indeed important areas that in today's world, in my view, is needed. Issues of solidarity amongst nations. The issue of debt, for instance, remains one of those factors that still, does not allow a number of economies to grow as they must. How we deal with issues of peace and security and actually use our solidarity as countries amongst each other to navigate some of those difficult issues becomes important.
Yeah.
When we also look at parliaments and the fora that they have in terms of engaging one another, such as the Interparliamentary Union, the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Pan-African Parliament, the SADC Parliamentary Forum in our case, how do we use those fora to actually ensure that we work among countries in ensuring that we attend to some of the difficulties that our countries today face?
Yeah. Speaker, there is so much going on. I mean, when we look at unrest in South Sudan, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the issues affecting Palestine, the war between Russia and Ukraine, trade tensions, tariffs, AGOA, sanctions. There is just so much global economic instability at the moment. And one would only hope that a summit like this provides an opportunity for parliaments to commit to concrete actions that advance peace, equity, and sustainable development. Just as I let you go, how is it going to be ensured that whatever is discussed at the summit is legislated and implemented by the G20 countries?
Well, as you know that once the outcomes document is finalized and adopted by various countries, in the different legislatures, as parliaments do their work of lawmaking, of oversight and accountability, they would actually look at how, on the first instance, how do our government infuse some of these outcomes that would have come out of the Leaders' Summit in their programs of actions. Secondly, how do we, as Parliament, where there may be a necessity for amending legislation, were able to do so? But how do we continue to use platforms in which we are able to have influence as members of Parliament, are able to engage one another on how we hold each other accountable on the commitments that we would have made?
We leave it there. Speaker, thank you. Thank you for your time. Good luck for today. We hope it's a very, very successful gathering. Thoko Didiza, our Speaker of the National Assembly, speaking about the 11th Speakers Summit, commonly known as the P20 of the G20 member states.